Okay, so I'm trying to use this ruby brown. It's a primer, but I'm using it because we need this color. Um, so the bicep has the almond and it has the flesh or the flat flesh kind of orange, and this one I've done with the ruby red. You see kind of the color difference there. Um, and I've also done the handbacks with that as well. So I'm going to paint this other bicep here and show you. I'm actually spraying it at an angle down here so that it starts to kind of just mist up. So I do that both top and bottom all the way around because it's not supposed to be really heavy in the middle. In the middle, you pull far away and just mist just a little bit, but it's more towards the bottom edges and the top edges. So kind of continue doing it. Okay, so on the chest it had the almond and it's had the flat flesh orange color. Now I'm going to be accenting some of the areas, giving it a little bit of shadowing with the ruby brown. It is a primer, but that's the only color I found that serves the purpose here. So you just lightly, from a far distance, just mist it on, letting it hit. So I'm spraying in these areas very lightly, just kind of want some mist. You just want to kind of tone down some of the orange and just allow some of this kind of like that, just kind of follow through all the way around. It's just a little bit, and then again, when this all done layering all the different colors on, we're going to use the sanding sponge technique that I've done with some of my other armor sets, but using a very fine grit because we don't want to remove a lot of this paint because we are misting it on kind of thin to begin with. I'm using this just to kind of help make some of the shapes pop a little bit more. So you're kind of getting it into the corners and whatnot, and underneath just to give a little bit of appeal. So just kind of something like that. Okay, so we're going to paint the ab now with the third color using the ruby brown. I've already painted the chest and back, so this is complete here. It's about as dark as you probably want to go. I haven't sanded anything yet. This is just layering on all the paints. But what I want to do is make sure that when I spray the ab piece that I get the two to match in tone. So start off in kind of some of the lower part here and work it up just a little bit. Leave this sharp ridge there as kind of as orange as you can. Don't spray too much on there. You want to give it that look as if it's kind of worn through and it's shining. So you just kind of work around the edges more, sort of like that, around the top. And if you check, as you go, your color should be pretty close. You don't want to have anything over weathered more than the other. You want to make it look like it's been worn all at the same time, so you want a nice blend of weathering to continue. So I'll finish painting this up like that, all around the back as well, just lightly misting it, just to kill some of that bright orange and adding this ruby red to it. Just like that. There you go. Okay, so the cod and belt and butt piece has already had its second stage of color. So it's had its first was the almond, then the flat flesh, which is kind of the orangish color. Now I'm going to be using the ruby brown. It is a primer, but we need it for the color. I'm just going to be lightly misting it on, not very heavy at all, just adding a little bit of tone to some of the angles. Kind of see the difference there. So it's not heavy at all. I'm spraying it from a far distance, just letting the mist fall on, just to kind of kill that bright orange. I'm going to be covering this with the belt as well. I'm sorry, covering the belt with this. I said that backwards. The upper portion of the belt is slightly darker than the rest of the armor, so I'm just putting on a slight mist in that area to prepare for a few layers of different colored paint as well. And we can just kind of using this down in the lower area as accenting, dang, sorry about that, and get rid of some of the bright orange color there. This one straight at the top of the belt. So something like that for the first coat of the third color. There you go. Okay, for the helmet it had the almond base coat. It's had the flat flesh, kind of the orangish tone on there now. So I'm going to be using the, this is the cap here for it, the ruby brown. And I'm going to just be lightly misting this on. Kind of get in some of the lower areas. Sides of the ears here, just a little darker. Not much, just adding a little bit of color and kind of killing some of that bright orange. Move it around. Bring it just a little bit heavier on the side here. This outer ring here is going to be yellow, kind of like a canary yellow. This is for Commander Jet, so I'm not too worried about spraying that area, but we're going to get a little bit of the dome there, a little bit of the back. Again, this is just misting it on pretty quickly. And considering this is just kind of getting the detail, if you're more comfortable using an airbrush, you can go ahead and do that. I was considering it, but thought I'd take my chances here and trying to do it with a spray can. Catch this underneath. Just to keep it a little consistent. That's probably about it for the next color here. I just want to get the cheeks in there just a little bit more. Underneath the eyes. A little more on the side of the ears. Oh, something like trying to make each side a little even. There we go. Okay, so the form, this is the third color we're adding to it. I want to make sure when I spray the edges, pretty much in the same spot where I sprayed the orange, that I get it to blend what I've already done as far as the handbacks. So I'm just going to stand back a little bit and spray just the tips on that, just to kind of get a nice match to the forearm there. I mean to the handback to the forearm, and same thing back here on the elbow. It doesn't need a whole lot, just a nice little mist to just kind of kill that bright orange of the flat flesh. And this is using the ruby, oh, actually it's a Rudy, I'm sorry, Rudy, R-U-D-D-Y brown. I was saying that wrong, I was calling it ruby. On the form, and basically giving it a look like that. And the compad, just going to get the same color. Get that from different angles and down on top. And then what I'll be doing, I'll be masking off the compad when I do the yellow in there. So I'll do the same thing for the other form, and there we go. Okay, for the shoulder belt, they're mostly yellow, but kind of the reddish brown shows through. So I'm going to be spraying some of the Rudy brown on them. But I've done that to the forearm as well. This area is going to be yellow, but some of this reddish color is going to show through. So I want to try to make that the same for the shoulder belt. So just spraying on a little bit here on the sides, sort of like that. Just letting it mist on. Not very heavy at all, just a little bit. Okay, for the belt boxes, I'm going to be spraying them, the majority of it, with the Rudy brown, just like I've done with the detonator. So I'm covering most of it with this color because this is going to match the belt boxes, or excuse me, the belt itself is a much darker tone, other than the front two boxes, as I've explained when you paint the cotton butt section. But I'm just going to add some more of this all the way around, the bottom edge there. Open that back up. I just paint it all, even though some of the back area of the box might not show. Just might as well do it now while you cut it off the armor. So something like that, and it's not fully painted, but the majority of it is, and I'll do the other one to match. Okay, for the thigh, we're adding the third color. This is the Rudy Brown. It's actually a primer, but we need it for the color in here. So the thigh has the almond, and it now has the flat flesh, which is kind of that orange look. I want to kind of kill some of that with the Rudy Brown here. Just spray it very lightly, kind of far away. What you want to do is kind of check and make sure that when you're spraying it, you keep it within the same color tones as the cod. Considering this is the part that's next to it, you don't want to have one piece extremely darker than the other. You want it to look realistic, as if it could have come off the same part. So it has that real true worn look. And I'm just going to spray in some of the recessed areas here and the lower. Inside always seems to be a little bit darker, kind of adds that shadowing effect that the animated characters have, so I'm going to add a little bit more on the inside there, and a little less as I come out. On the edges here. And again, I'm going to be sanding this down with the fine grit sanding sponge, but it should look something like that. And I'll do the okay for the shin piece. It already has the almond. It has the flat flesh, which is the orangish tone here. So I'm going to be using the Rudy Brown primer, mainly over the flat flesh color, just to kind of tone that down. Just lightly misting that on. Not very heavy, but just enough to kind of kill off some of that orange. You don't need to do the whole shin because this area here is going to be yellow, so it's mainly just the top and then the bottom here. Maybe a little bit down on the side, so just because when the yellow shows through, it has some of this brownish tone. Not a whole lot. That's pretty much it.